you've got to walk down the Gnostic road. Dr. K, more Alex O'Connor. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex O'Connor was on a large podcast, The Diary of a CEO. He had a Christian apologist sitting across from him, I believe, a psychologist who seems to be very open-minded to various spiritual remedies and spiritual thought, and then, of course, the hosts themselves, who I have not watched the original episode. This is a clip that Alex published 12 days ago, and I thought, you know what, let's check it out together. What do you mean you've got to walk down the Gnostic road? Let's see what they have to say, and if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so, like the video, and comment down below what your thoughts are as we go along.
Do you think I could then sit here and say what your experience is not true? And I
absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I could pick it apart and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So this is the thing that
is there any value in that?
From what?
For me doing that to you?
Of course there's value. For you, if you want to pick me apart, if you want to continue to live the life that you live, if you want to continue to get 5 out of 10 meaning because you've accomplished
5 out of 10 meaning, I get it. Look, if someone lives their life just only being negative, I do think that there's a part, maybe they find purpose and each person has a subjective experience on this, but I get more purpose out of a positive life in trying to be positive and think positive and not always just, mocking or picking people apart or whatever. I really, mocking is not a good term because that'd be like more derogatory, but like clearly picking apart superstitions, belief systems, things like that. I enjoy doing them and they're fun, but there's a sense in which I myself do experience things. And so I want to see what this guy has to say because he seems to be one saying, yeah, sure, do what you want, but
a lot. If you have a lot of stuff. I mean, so many videos that you have left, so many people that you help, millions of people across the globe. Right?
I say this because that's what's happening here.
What?
That Alex is picking apart.
Fine. So I have no problem with picking things apart. If you want to pick things apart, but be very clear about what picking things apart does.
What does it do?
So it's a.
This is good. I want to see what he says because this guy is jumping the gun saying a lot of stuff here, and I don't know. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. I don't know. But what does picking things apart do?
A great question. I have a different way of answering it. So when I listen to philosophers, like these guys were just in it about evil, and if evil was created when Eve ate the apple, was she evil when she made the apple, right? It's so great. It's picking things apart.
So we're missing context here, but I'm picking up what he's putting down.
So it's so interesting because as a psychiatrist,
so he's a psychiatrist.
My training is actually the exact opposite. What I've trained myself to do is to twist and turn in mental gymnastics to understand somebody else's view. When a patient walks into my office and they say, I'm suicidal, I don't want to pick their view apart. No, you have so much to live for. It doesn't work. I try to understand them. So there is value to picking things apart in terms of political debate, in terms of you're arguing with your wife, whether you should buy a car or lease a car. There are all kinds of values to picking things apart. But the question is, what do you want? Now, I think if you take Alex's road, which I think is going to change real quick if it hasn't.
Okay, this is a common issue. Many people believe Alex is going to become a Christian, or, they're always saying these things like as if Alex O'Connor is going to be this thing. Look, y'all saw, I did a reaction to Alex's prior video where I was a little critical because I'm like, bro, you're talking to, Bear Grylls, and, Bear Grylls is coming at it from a fundamentalist angle, but he kind of played in that kind of make-believe land, so to speak, and maybe Bear Grylls didn't know where Alex really thought, what Alex really believed. And maybe Alex was just being polite, right? So, or there's fandom there. A bit of like, dang, this guy's popular, he's famous. There's all sorts of possible explanations for why Alex was not overly critical and harsh, of course. And, you want to be able to do more shows with more people. But this guy's answer about bending over backwards, trying to understand people, I am kind of like that in my life. I try my best, especially when the person's opening up and they're trying to be authentic. If their conversation with me is combative, clearly I can get combative or defend myself. But there's a sense in which I kind of relate to this guy's not just picking things apart, but also trying to understand and give ear to what they believe and why. But even then myself, give me my space, man. Let me make my own mind up and have my own opinion. And as long as you respect me, I respect you, that kind of thing.
Why? Be honest.
Why do you think Alex is going down a different path or is about to change?
I think he's going to go down the road of gnosis if he isn't already.
Gnosis. What is gnosis?
Knowledge.
Alex?
Gnosis is it's a Greek term. Gnosis means knowledge, but it's attached to...
The guy who said he's going to go down the road of gnosis says, Alex, you explain it. This is already kind of interesting.
I guess an ancient school of philosophy which believes that truth is obtained from looking inward.
Do you mean narcissism?
Not narcissism. So
did he say narcissism or Gnosticism? And I know the host said Gnosticism, but I don't know if he misheard and said narcissism because he doesn't really know about Gnosticism. Maybe he immediately said Gnosticism because he didn't really know about Gnosticism.
I think if you want to,
Alex tried to correct him just now there because he said narcissism, and he could tell that the guy didn't pick up what was being put down there.
It's not a philosophy; it's a practice.
But what do you mean when you say? I mean, Stephen asked. You said I'm going to go down a.
I think you got to walk down the Gnostic road, dude.
Would you tell us
what is that?
You've got to walk down the Gnostic road, dude. Yeah, I want to know what this road is, bro.
Didn't just say that you said you thought I was going to do that. What does it mean?
That I think you're going to do that, or the path of
what
gnosis?
Is the thing that you think I'm going to?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to start practicing Gnostic stuff.
What's Gnostic
stuff? What does that mean?
So Thunder Perfect Mind is a series of meditations.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at that and you do what it tells you to do, you will understand what the Gnostics understood. You have to walk that path that they walked. But doing so does not involve the philosophy of gnosis, right? That the part of gnosis, I don't know what the philosophy, I mean, I get what you're saying from a philosophical perspective, but the Gnostics were practitioners as far as I understand. I read one Gnostic text and I was like,
one Gnostic text and,
oh, this is like a meditation instruction.
So what is it that makes you think?
Okay. So there probably was some behaviors, meditative type behaviors, because Gnostics do look inward. There's the Gospel of Thomas has some fascinating sayings that seem to lift up the rock, move that wood, and everywhere there I am you. In a sense, Christ is you. There's this inner dialogue, and it's not about faith and hell and damnation and Jesus' death on a cross. None of that really ultimately matters. It's about you finding gnosis, you finding your own sense of salvation. And the authority structure is completely different as well. It seems that the Orthodox, of course, condemn this whole thing because where's the power at, right? If each individual, male, female, doesn't matter, is equal at the very top, there is no hierarchy. Ultimately, everyone is equal. Well, that's not how the church typically behaves. And they might say it, but the practice is completely different there. And I think that might have played some role in the early gnosis churches, if you will. But even people like Clement had gnosis or claim gnosis. So Gnosticism is also a category that's fraught with issues and trying to nail down exactly what it is and who is under that umbrella. But this guy's saying that Alex is going to go down this path of meditative gnosis kind of behavior.
Why do you look at me and say that's... I mean, you've read one Gnostic text.
You read one Gnostic text.
An intuition.
But I wonder what...
So that's like me reading the Rig Veda, right? Or Buddhist texts, whatever it might be. And I'm persuaded that there's some practicality to meditative type of behavior and practice, which I'm actually planning on doing more and more, especially now that I know that I have panic disorder and I now can identify way back to when I was a young teenager having these moments. So this has been with me for a long time. I'm going to practice these things because it seems like we evolved to learn these things and apply them, and they've worked. And so you don't need to believe in the magic of Vishnu or the magic of Buddha walking on water or whatever. you can be perfectly fine with just the practice and not the legends or the myths as literal. You can enjoy the legends and myths as story.
What do you mean?
It's not explainable.
But you have an intuition based on pattern recognition.
Sure.
That an individual like Alex.
I don't know. No, not pattern recognition. This is indefensible.
Okay.
What? So why? I mean, you got three people at our table. This guy's making a claim that he thinks Alex is going to go down a path of gnosis and the Gnostic road or the gnosis road. And Alex is going, hold on, dude. He couldn't even get narcissism and Gnosticism correct. He's only read one text, okay, of the Gnostics. It's sound meditative, sound more internalizing, like you would in Eastern philosophies. What reason, if it's not pattern recognition, you've seen Alex observe or interview Elaine Pagels or something like what if it wasn't pattern recognition, then how do you have any knowledge, gnosis of Alex that he might go down that path, and then you just say it's indefensible, it's not pattern seeking? Then what is it?
I get told a lot by a lot of different people that I'm quite clearly on a particular road. Christians very often say that it seems as though I'm on the verge of Christian conversion. And I think that's often just a result of having nice conversations with them where I don't jump down their throat and say, actually, there's some truth in this, or actually there are some good arguments for the resurrection of Jesus, or this kind of stuff. And suddenly I have people saying, he's so close.
Is that because he's
kind of annoying,
clearly a man searching for me?
It's kind of annoying, Alex said. Interesting. Yeah, I would think that could get annoying after a while, especially in Alex's spot. I have lots of Christians who go, dude, I know you say you don't believe, but like Christ is still in you. You're still, I can tell by your heart. I can tell by, and I think that's well-meaning. It's unfortunate that it's like starting from the premise that I'm right, the conclusion that Christ is the right one or mine is right, and that based on my behaviors and how kind I might treat them and also respect them and whatnot, that they still think I'm a Christian. It tells me that I'm doing things that are obviously very polite and generous, but it's also kind of like, man, it's a little bit like I'm right. I'm starting from I'm right, and one day you'll get back to where I'm at. And it's like, dang, dude, Muslims probably feel this way. I'm sure most religions would probably think this way, and they'd be like, yeah, my philosophy is probably better,
Meaning?
Something about
you haven't told us what gnosis is. You said it's a series of practices, but so is vegetarianism. So
I think gnosis, from what reading one text, I'm not a Gnostic expert.
Okay.
So there's a set of practices that if you do them, have a high probabilistic chance of having a direct experience of God.
Like what?
So Om chanting is a simple example.
Right.
So a direct experience of God. Om chanting. Okay.
But there are things that you can do to increase the likelihood of having a transcendent experience of Om chanting. So, for example, if you adopt Siddhasana.
Something like that, probably. So a transcendent experience, I guess, would be this guy's way of saying you've tapped into God, right? What if that is just a state in which the mind is capable of going to, that humans have evolved to have that kind of experience, and it's not God necessarily, it's just a very good blissful state.
So Siddhasana is a particular yoga posture where your left heel is placed against the perineum of your body. Mm-hmm. So the perineum is the taint, the area between the anus and the scrotum. So if you also do certain pranayama practices, so these will do things that induce a very, very, very low respiratory rate. And one of the things that we know about transcendental experiences is that high levels of CO2 tend to actually, we don't know this, but this is kind of the best hypothesis that I've read that I happen to think is true, that if we alter the neurons of our brain chemistry, we can evoke transcendental experiences.
Okay. I like this stuff this guy's talking about, and he's trying to sell Alex on it, maybe. He's selling me on it in the sense that I do want to gain control of my breathing because I've had legitimate panic disorder. So, I'll be working out, my blood pressure really rises, and it's intensified. And in fact, about 6 months ago, I got so much of a pump doing skull crusher type triceps that I thought I'm going to die. But I remember what was happening is my breathing and my blood pressure was so high. It had like my body felt like balloons. Like I was so pumped up. And I remember freaking out about the feeling that I was feeling a heart rate. It was really intense. That made it worse. That made me go deeper into a panic. And I had to sit down and thought, I'm about to faint. I'm about to die. Like the panic set in. I don't know how to describe it, but like if I can gain control of this, calm my body down, actually be able to alleviate these kinds of things, these practices are definite things that I think are important. They don't prove magic to me. They prove that these are practices that humans have tapped into to cope with the world, to deal with the world that they live in, and they've worked. And if it's worked, why not do them?
So if you look at some of these esoteric traditions, what'll happen is you have all of these different practices. And as you do these practices, I think you are very clearly refining your physiology and your neurology to induce certain states. And let's remember that psychedelics don't create anything.
Yes.
Psychedelics simply activate the circuitry that is already there.
Or deactivate. Or deactivate.
Or deactivate, right?
But yeah,
So,
Alex is kind of like flustered probably in this conversation so far, it seems. But I think it's interesting he brought up psychedelics because that's something that Jordan Peterson will bring up as a miracle. Psychedelics are proof of God. And no, you do a psychedelic trip, you'll stop smoking for the rest of your life. People have done it, And guess what? There is a profound experience that comes from it. I've done them in my life. And yes, absolutely. They can be life-changing. They really do. I don't know how to explain it. Cause you to think in a way you cannot think. Okay, typically. Experience things you cannot just typically experience, it seems. And that can set the course of someone's life in a different direction from the one that they are. The practices, behaviors, whatever. It can help with that. But what does this have to do with Alex walking down the Gnostic road? If it's simply Alex is going to try meditation and test these kind of practices, okay. If that's all he means, then no harm felt. But if he thinks this somehow leads Alex to God or something, I'm curious to know what Alex's thoughts are.
That's a crucial point to make.
I'd love to understand why you think he's going to go down that path.
Let's call it intuition.
But I need something a little bit more than that. So you're saying...
Okay, so I'll give you more. So in the system of... So can I answer truthfully or defensively?
Truthfully.
Which ones do you guys want?
Truthfully.
Okay. So in the system of Kundalini yoga, there are 7 chakras. So 21 years ago, almost 22, I went to a teacher who taught me the first of a Kundalini practice, which is based on the Ajna chakra. So the Ajna chakra is your third eye chakra. And
I just got my son's, me and my wife went and got my son's birthday cake from a Dairy Queen today. And the owners have the red dot on their forehead, the chakra. And both the woman and the male both had that, and they were very sweet. And I had to call out and say, hey, yeah, I love that. It was cool.
It is the chakra that governs understanding. So if you want to understand things, then Ajna chakra practices are the right thing to do. So many years ago, back in a former life when I was still an academic at Harvard, I was trying to develop an evidence-based meditation program for different diagnoses. And part of what I leaned into, and initial results were good, but never really, then I started doing this. But so as one example, there's this chakra called the Muladhara chakra, which is our root chakra. So the Muladhara chakra governs our primal impulses in life. So I looked at my patients with addictions and I was like, okay, these people have a problem with impulse control and they want something and they can't restrain themselves from getting it. So I wondered, can I teach them Muladhara chakra practices to sort of basically like reduce their flow of wanting the basic things? And I found that that was efficacious. Now, meditation works for addictions, but the question is, can we do a specific meditation for a specific mental illness? So there's one study, for example, that looks at anahat or heart chakra meditation specifically for depression because it cultivates like compassion and self-love and stuff like that. And they found, it's a very small study, hopefully we'll do more research in this, but they found that the effect was superior to other forms of meditation. So hypothetically, theoretically, there are specific meditation practices which work in different ways. And I teach a lot of this stuff in Dr. K's guided meditation and stuff. But so there are these specific practices. So I specifically did a practice based on Agnya Chakra stuff, like intuition, right? So then like something weird happens, which is when I sit with people, I have intuitions about them. Now, is this real? Is this fake? Is it delusional? I don't know. You could argue.
Dang. So is he going to go down the path of gnosis? You know, clearly this guy's, you know, having an intuition, but where's it coming from? He doesn't even know. And he doesn't know if it's delusion, if he's making it up, if his mind's making it up on the moment. I don't know. Part of me thinks that's what it is that he's coming up with a idea and just saying, I think you're going to go down this. And it's like, well, what reasons do you have? I just think you do. I think you will. He has no way of defending it.
That I'm just a really good psychiatrist with really good cold reading, right? But this is I don't. So if you want to know the real answer, like, I'm not a great psychiatrist. People think I'm so brilliant as I'm not. I'm cheating. I'm using a layer of information that I don't think most people have access to, which I know is a completely undefensible claim, except if you do Agnya Chakra practices too, you will see what I'm talking about.
Okay, so this guy is the mystic of mystics, so to speak. He's saying you got to do these practices. You'll realize what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, you know, who knows where Alex goes? I'm actually going to pick up spiritual, you know, behaviors and meditations and breathing techniques and stuff. I'm interested in doing that kind of stuff as someone who doesn't believe magic, doesn't believe these things are real in that sense. There's stories and legends and myths, but there is a practicality for these practices that can help improve your life. And I've heard from many people, they're like, dude, I promise you can do it. And it'd be so much better if you do these things for your own mental health, for your own panic disorder, all of that fun stuff. So I'm planning on doing it. Have you done it? What is your experience? I've had several experiences in my life. What are yours? I'm curious. Comment down below. What do you think, though, about him projecting that? Do you think that was disrespectful? Do you think that he's just having a conversation, he feels comfortable, and Alex, you know, I don't know. Maybe he feels comfortable saying that. Maybe this is a big panel and his big channel. What are your thoughts? I'd like to hear from you. Be sure to like the video because it helps our algorithm. It helps our channel grow. Subscribe and hit the bell. Hit all. If you don't do that, it won't notify you every time we do a reaction. And I'm looking for recommendations. Until next time, see you then.